Basically, this is an annual event that's sponsored by the American Radio Relay League, which is headquartered in Connecticut here, in Newington, Connecticut. And even though contacts can be made worldwide, it's basically the United States and Canada. And the object of this whole thing is to see how many different stations you can contact, especially with regard to running on emergency power, and you just might be able to hear the generators in the background. They were just started up, and under field conditions. Now,
CQ Field Day, CQ Field Day, CQ Field Day, CQ Field Day. This is K1GF, K1GF, Kilowatt 1, Golf Foxtrot.
It's very easy going. There's no pressure. It's a contest, but it's not a contest. We're not pushing to be number one. Everybody's here just having a good time, and that's the important thing.
contest duration, I believe it's a 22 or 24 hour. I'm not sure exactly what the definition is. I think the rules say that you must be set up by noon Saturday to end on noon Sunday. However, or let me see, if you begin setting up at noon, you must be operational by 2. I think that's what it is, which then gives you 22 hours. However, if you desire to set up earlier, you can start on noon Saturday, so then you'll get 24 hours.
Second. Is the turnout important, or is it?
Sure, the turnout is important. You need people to do everything. But, you know, it's a total effort. Whether you get people who are going to be doing antenna erection, operating. I mean, there's something for everybody to do here. You know, people like me who really don't enjoy operating that much, but enjoy putting up antennas and troubleshooting if something happens. You know, it's fun for me. And the kids love to operate, so they have a ball.
Had any problems this year with getting the equipment up?
Not really. As a matter of fact, it seems to be going along much smoother than ever in the past. Maybe it's because we're getting used to it, you know. But it's great. We've got enough people out, and there'll be more coming to operate later. It ought to be a very good weekend. And of course, you know, the competitive spirit is there, but we're not really here to see if we're going to beat every other club out, because we did fairly well last year. But it's the enjoyment of coming out in this nice weather and setting up and fellowship with the guys and, you know, all that kind of thing, which is something I always stress, like even on that radio program, that, you know, we're all walks of life here, all religions, all creeds and all that, but we have one commonality, which is ham radio, and it's a great feeling.
You need people who are willing to do a little bit of everything. And that's what's so beautiful about this hobby. There's room for people to do whatever they want to do. If you want to, again, if you want to be an operator, you can be an operator. If you want to build, you can build. If you want to engineer antenna systems, you can engineer antenna systems. There's room in the hobby. I've never seen a hobby that's so multifaceted that, again, we're all hams, but each of us can have different interests and pursue them and not get in each other's way. The Stanford Club is a multi-purpose radio club. We have some individuals who are into home computer work and the application of the home computers to amateur radio, using them as radio teletype machines, or using the computers for games or exchange of programs over the air. We have other members who like to chase foreign countries. They, you know, sit there looking for a rare reef in the Caribbean. We get other people, like for instance, I like to build, and I like to tinker. We got other people who like to work repeaters on very high frequencies, not necessarily short-range communication. You get some other people who are interested in traffic handling, passing messages back and forth. So it gets back to what I said. There's room for everybody in the Stanford Club. And it's not quickish in the sense that if you're a traffic handler, you don't talk to a DXer.
Think about the kids being involved.
Oh, they're super, because I got started in amateur radio at their age, and I know what it was like then, and it was just as much fun, and I know what kind of fun they're having. That's, and to see them have fun is half the enjoyment of it. It's funny, as you get older, you get more mature, you don't stay up all night, but, they go forever.
It's nice to have them around
Oh,
at 2 o'clock in the
isn't
morning.
it?
We'd like to get the youngsters in because, after all, the old-timers are getting older, and we really want young blood in there. And we're very fortunate, thanks to Don, K1AOA, and what he's done in the Greenwich school system. We've got quite a few youngsters here who started out with novice licenses. I think maybe one of them still has one, but the others have gone ahead and gotten technician and general licenses. However, you see, we have beam antennas here, which some of them might have been up over somebody's house, and we just bring everything down and transport it, which is what we would do in an emergency if we had a national disaster or something like that. And you can see it takes a couple hours to get all this stuff together and get it down and erected.
It's surprising how easy it is to teach code.
Yeah, yeah.
To people who have had no interest. I had a girlfriend, and we were stuck on a bus to New York City, on a winter's day.
Yeah.
And the 2-hour trip down, 2-hour trip back. By the end of that time, she was able to copy 5 words a minute. There's something beautiful about code because it's a different language. It's musical because of the tones. And it's also precise because you're trying to have your spacing as equal as possible.
Pacing, I suppose you're talking about, right?
Right. The amount of time you give for a dit or a da, and the spacing between them.
I guess everybody has their own style. Can you recognize other
yes.
people's style?
Exactly. It's a signature. Except unless they're using a semi-automatic key, where it's
Right.
electronically done and they just preset the way they want it spaced. Although you can, on a hand key, you can only do maybe 20 words a minute, and that's really having short, very close gap between the key switch and working your wrist like crazy. With these electronic things, you can get up to 40, 50, 60 words a minute.
Can anybody read it that fast?
There are people who can copy 60 words a minute. When you get up to about 25 words a minute, you're not even writing anything down.
There are no rigs owned by the club as such. The equipment is owned by the individuals, and everybody brings whatever's needed. Usually there's a committee that's set up, and it seems that tradition has set Sky Wardwell, K1GF, as the chairman of the committee, and he calls a meeting, and they get together and decide how many bands we're going to operate, and then they decide how many sets they need. We're going to be operating apparently on all the amateur bands right on up to 2 meter, which is VHF, and the equipment is owned by individuals: Tom, W1ICH, Sky, K1GF, John, K1VMI. I didn't bring anything because it just wasn't needed, but everybody chips in and brings whatever's needed.
Now, what Sky's whole purpose is here, he acts as our general chairman. He's the guy who sets everything up, coaxes everybody else to get out and work on it, and I think he has a ball with it. And again, it's not coming out here to win. There are certain clubs that set up for nothing but field day, and they come out and they want to win field day. We just come out here and have a good time.
I think this one has been our best one. It's the fourth. And one thing that's made it, I think, more enjoyable is we have more family here. But we try to make it a family day as well as a contest. Basically, it's a contest whereby in the 24 hours of operation, we try to contact as many other stations in the country as possible. But here, the Stanford Club, we try to make it a picnic and have a fun day. And it's been real great this year. I'm so glad to see all the young people around. And they really make a real picnic day out of it, as well as a good field day. We've had a good field day. We've had a lot of operators, and we've got amassed a lot of points.
You seem to be one of the more colorful members of the club. When did you first get started, and how did you get started, and what have you got out of it in all that time?
Matter of fact, I'm retired now. I'm 66 years old. And I didn't start amateur radio, really. That is, I didn't get a license until about 11 years ago. I've been kind of interested in it all my life, but I never actually got a license. I've been mostly a boatman, having been born and brought up around here in Stanford. And it was only about 11 years ago that I decided to do it seriously and to get a license. So I went over and sat in a novice class with a bunch of 12-year-olds and went through the steps from novice to the next step, general level, advanced, and then amateur extra. And I think it's a great opportunity for individualism. I think you'll find that most hams are kind of individualistic because they operate their radio sets in their own homes without any help. They have to service them and take care of them themselves, and it's a great opportunity for that, as well as a number of other activities that ham radio covers. We have, for instance, television. There's amateur television. We mount signals off the moon. We have a satellite, an amateur satellite that we can use. We tried to contact it this weekend, but didn't quite make it. And then, of course, there's all kinds of construction projects. There's all kinds of public service projects. There's just such a wide variety of activity in ham radio that no, you can't do it all. You have to pick out a certain field. Most of my activity has been in handling traffic, that is, messages across the country.
The traffic handler, which means that Sky gets involved in the public service aspect of amateur radio, of relaying messages for people free of charge. Now, Sky's retired, which gives him a little bit more time, and he'll get on the traffic nets, and he'll pass messages back and forth. And as such, he's known all over the East. For instance, the little bit of operating that I did, I was on one band and worked a station up in northern Vermont, and the guy comes back to me and says, by the way, tell Sky hello, and we'll see him on the traffic net later tonight. Again, you can go anywhere in the East Coast and you say, you know, I know Sky Bordell, K1GF. Oh, he runs traffic. Again, he's very well known for that. And Sky is also involved in emergency communications. And this is what the whole purpose of Field Day is. It's a simulated emergency communications exercise.
Somebody gave me a crystal set for a birthday present, and I put it together, and it was really a crystal, a rock. And one of the neighbors where I lived in a small town in Iowa turned out to be a ham, and he kept coming over my crystal set. That piqued my curiosity, and it all began, you know, back then. So I've been a ham for 20-some years now, and it's a kind of hobby you can come back to often. Mobile equipment, the small gear can lend itself really nicely to any kind of a temporary situation, but it's a great hobby.
I notice your daughter is becoming to take some interest in this. How does that...
I can't explain it. I have one daughter who could care less about it, the other one who is absolutely enthralled with it. She's 7 years old, and she already knows the code, and every time I take a piece of gear apart, she's got a nose in the middle of it, and she really finds it fascinating. It's true. Who can account for it?
She'll apply for a license?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, in fact, I expect this year that she'll be able to get her novice license.
Had a great field day this year. The weather has been perfect, and we've been so lucky to have perfect weather. And a few minutes ago, I copied in code a message to all amateurs participating in field day from President Ronald Reagan, who congratulated us on our 41st anniversary field day. It was very nice. We usually get it from the president of AORL, but this year we went right to the top.
Congrats.